Hello, welcome to part 98 of my story. So, around this time in August of 2022, President Biden was the president of the United States, as he is still now, before he hands over power to President Trump. So, at this time, I felt the urge to also write a letter to President Biden as well as our House representatives. Multiple letters did go out to multiple different people, and here I'm going to read the letter that I wrote to President Biden at the time. So, this letter basically states, my name is Kalitha Bush. I'm a 42-year-old mother of 9 who is currently incarcerated at FMC Carswell Camp in Fort Worth, Texas. I have been incarcerated for the past 5 years of my life. In 2017, I was convicted of 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire/mail fraud and was sentenced to 96 months in federal custody. I am a first-time nonviolent offender. Incarcerated, I have participated in many recidivism reduction programs. I have maintained full-time employment, including the time I worked a full-time in-out custody job at the NAS Joint Naval and Air Force Base, which is located outside the grounds of the prison. I have maintained clear conduct and I have paid all FRP payments in a timely fashion. I have a minimum pattern risk assessment score of -14. I have no detainers. There is no violence in my offense history, and I am housed at a minimal security camp. I could spend this letter explaining how being incarcerated changed my life dramatically, or how sincere my regret is, or even how my life will never be the same. All that is true, but those are not my reasons for writing. I'm writing this letter to share with you the evidence of a failed and discriminatory system that does not treat or protect the very individuals it is charged to rehabilitate or return to society. I hope you would take a moment to stand in my shoes and see this from my perspective. The Bureau of Prisons and other agencies involved must make changes to how they openly discriminate against people like myself. While being incarcerated, I have made significant strides, which is noted in my prison history, and show that I am more than deserving of a second chance. When the CARES Act was passed, I received 2 referrals for home confinement from former Warden Carr, who was in the best position to determine if I am a good candidate for community custody. When my paperwork reached the Regional Reentry Manager, RRM, I was denied, with the reason being I had no CDC risk factors. According to CARES Act, being too healthy is not a reason to deny an inmate the opportunity to be referred to community custody. My experience is not an isolated incident. Rather, there are so many deserving women who are denied the relief Congress intended when it passed this legislation. This leaves me wondering, why are first-time nonviolent offenders not equally protected under the Fifth Amendment for such laws like CARES Act? I honestly believe that America is the greatest nation of all. I believe in our Constitution and for what it stands. I believe that in this great nation, we are given opportunities to right our wrongs. In 1987, when I was only 7 years old, senators voted in a bipartisan deal to abolish parole. Yet, here we are 35 years later, still suffering from the political decision, as well as the ineffective and dysfunctional guidelines. I am the voice of the first-time nonviolent offender who the Fair Sentencing Act of 1987 has let down. No matter what I have done during my course of incarceration to show that I have overcome my criminal past, there is nothing to look forward to when it comes to relief. For so long, so many prisoners like myself, whose voices have gone unheard, have been trying to prove ourselves worthy of a second chance. Unfortunately, we have nothing to look forward to but serving 85% of our sentences because our case managers refuse to abide by First Step Act and instead claim that there is discretion whether or not to apply our FSA time credits. I am sure there are current bills waiting to be voted into law that will help so many deserving and promising men and women like myself. If there was ever a time, it is now. This is the Biden administration time to turn the tide. And I know you cannot do it alone. It is time to come together and reach across the table and sign a bipartisan bill that will change the course of prison reform for years to come. As former President Obama said, no law is ever final, no battle ever finished. There's always opportunity to strengthen or weaken what appears to be done. to water down a regulation or to block its implementation, to contract an agency power with a cut in its budget, or to seize control of an issue where a vacuum has been left. Please help me empty the vacuum. It is time to give the forgotten and unheard a chance to be remembered. We want our second chance. We want our chance to become mothers and fathers again, to become productive citizens of society, and to help rebuild our economy. We cannot achieve any of this until someone listens to our voices. Today, as I write, I hope that is you. In 1975, Maurice Singler, a former chairman of the United States Board of Parole, said, I say that as long as we use imprisonment in this country, we will have to have someone somewhere with the authority to release people from imprisonment. Call it parole, call it what you will. It is one of those jobs that has to be done. Please, President Biden, get the job done. Thank you for your consideration. So, of course, I mailed that letter off to President Biden, and I didn't get a response. I wasn't looking for a response. I was looking for someone to receive the letter and basically read it and know that, hey, we're still here. We're the people that are suffering from the system malfunctions. That brought me to why advocacy is so important. No one was basically listening for the fact that Congressman Mark Veazey took note to my letter, which meant a lot to me because a lot of things have been just swept under the rug. And people leave prison. People are supposed to leave these places better than what they have come. And they say that prison is a place for rehabilitation. I believe that the only way you're going to be rehabilitated from anything is if you want to. Putting somebody in prison is not going to rehabilitate them. In most cases, people go to prison and more harm is done to them than good, so there is no rehabilitation for that person, especially in a system where the system turns and looks the other way.